Life is a program. Yes, life is a program. And here is why I say so. A program is not just a bunch of codes written in a particular order for something to work. Instead, it is a unique combination of various programming constructs to produce something that people value. But then again, why am I saying this? Well, it all started when I was 8. A girl with two pigtails sitting in the computer lab and working on Scratch. In case you don't know what Scratch is, it's a visual programming language that allows students to create interactive stories, animations, and games. Yeah, pretty silly when I think of it. But at 14, when I accidentally passed the aptitude test for computer science, things changed. Programming was one of the things we were taught under computer science, and I was honestly surprised by how input, process, and output work. Like, even making orange juice was following an algorithm. The input was getting the oranges, the process squeezing them, and the output some refreshing orange juice. This left me curious, and I began to wonder, is everything around us an algorithm? Today, after 3 years of constantly writing codes, I finally received my answer. Yes, everything around us is an algorithm. And here is why. According to Evans Data Corporation's 2022 report, there are 26.9 million programmers in the world out of a population of almost 8.2 billion. Go ahead, do the maths. That's right. That's not even 1% of the world's population. To be precise, it's 0.3. But I believe all of you are programmers. Here is why. Imagine you are an employee who has a meeting at 8 a.m. for which you plan to wake up at 6. But you woke up at 6:30. That is kind of a problem. You know you're going to take 30 minutes to get to the venue, which means you have to rush yourself. Now, what would you do? Finish the presentation first and then get ready so that at least your presentation is top-notch? Well, did you see that? You exhibited problem-solving skills, one of the very basic requirements. And aren't we all problem solvers? But now you will be like, just because I can solve problems, I am a programmer. That makes no sense. I agree. But wait, hold on, there's more. Throughout my 10th grade, I wrote hundreds of codes, of course, to prepare for my exams. Naturally, I learned several aspects of programming, the reason behind a specific line, and the importance of different steps. But here's what's fascinating. When I looked at what I normally do in a day, I only then realized programming is the application of our daily lives. Let's see how. Imagine you are in a room and there are 15 people in a row and there are 5 such rows. One of them has a key to a special lock. You need to find that key. What would you do? Start by searching each one. That is a linear search. And if you found it, you wouldn't continue to look for it. That's using a break. Well, this was just one example. But what if I tell you that all the challenges you face in life, all the struggles you go through, and all the panic you create can be easily dealt with by looking at all of it as a very simple algorithm. And the key to this algorithm, as I discovered, are 3 simple programming constructs. First, loop. It's also in computer science known as an iteration, where you're going to continue repeating a task until you reach the desired outcome. In 9th grade, I used to hate physics, like absolutely hate physics. And this was mainly because I couldn't solve any questions. But I obviously had to overcome it, try and practice more and more until I finally understood it. Now you see, try and try, practice and practice, that is a loop. Going through the same task. Like for me, it was solving the same physics question 3 times and approaching the teacher 100 times. While for some of you, it might be asking your boss for an increment 1,000 times. But in the end, we are all repeating the same task until we get what we want. And that is the very basis of solving any problem. Going through it to understand it, to break it down, and to simplify the process. Second, feedback. It is something we get even when we don't want it, but it is also something that helps us learn. Programmers use something called as a flag. It's like a dummy variable whose job is to learn. Well, aren't we all also the dummy variables in our life's program? Every time I successfully solve a physics question, an employee finishes their report, and a programmer types their code, we are all waiting for some feedback, some response from our teacher, employer, or senior. And every time this happens, we are learning from our mistake. We are waiting for some feedback, a positive or a negative one. Let's now talk about animation, something that perfectly demonstrates both programming and life's iterative nature. Did you know creating a 60-second animation could take up to 8 weeks? But why? Because like life, it is a constant loop of create, review, and improve. Just like I was in a constant loop of solving, submitting, and resolving my physics question, an animator is in a constant loop of coding, testing, and adjusting. Likewise, you are also in a constant loop of creating, reviewing, and improving. And lastly, we have syntax. Syntax, in very simple terms, is a set of rules on how different programming statements should be written and arranged, without which the program wouldn't run. Well, do we not have syntax in life? There is a specific, a set way of how you would grow up. There were some rules that I had to follow when solving those physics questions, and likewise, the employee had to when typing their report. Then why is it that we still neglect these rules and then create so much panic when all we had to do was follow the syntax? Ironic, is it? Not really. It's just being humans. And that is exactly why I want to emphasize how simply designed life is. It's not that complicated. It's like developing a program, one that has a proper loop, a syntax, and a well-defined flag, all ready to learn. You see, the algorithm doesn't change, just the input and the output change. The loop will still be executed, and the feedback will still be required. Just the challenge is different. In 9th, I struggled with physics, in 10th with chemistry, and today with statistics. But my process of acing all of them did not change. Today you might be having career issues, tomorrow financial, day after relationship. But the way you will process your challenge will not change. You will still need that dedicated time, the effort, the constructive feedback, and will have to repeat this whole process multiple times to overcome them. Therefore, as we talk today, let us program our lives to the best of our ability until we remove the bugs with a little effort. Let the flags in our life learn. Overcome the fear of doing something multiple times and follow the syntax of life. After all, life is a program.